Creighton with a win over Notre Dame, 80-76. They had lost 3 in a row, including games to Nebraska, San Diego State, and Texas A&M. They get back on the winning side of things tonight with an 80-76 win. They do it without Ryan Kalkbrenner. Next up for them is number 1 Kansas. They got a few days to get themselves right and collected before they take on the number 1 team in the country. But, Randolph, does this ease some concern watching them beat a team from the ACC without Ryan Kalkbrenner in the lineup?
No, I think it was both teams needed this game. Both teams were missing their best player. So Marcus Burton has been out for Notre Dame. That team is tough, physical. They've been competing, and they've been without him a few games now. So I give Creighton credit as a game they had to win. But what do we know? It's great to see that they can win a game like that without Ryan Kalkbrenner. We know what he means to this team on both ends of the floor. If he's probably, he's if not the best defensive player in the country, he's one of. He's definitely will be on the list. But right now with Notre Dame, without Marcus Burton, we don't know what they could be or how good a win this is and where they kind of rank in the ACC in comparison. But two teams just struggling right now. Needed a win to kind of stop the bleeding. I mean, and fortunately for Creighton, who I thought with Kalkbrenner being out, needed to have this one a little bit more.
Yeah, they got Jemiah Neal going. Yeah, getting Jemiah Neal going was big. Getting Ashworth going was big. Like the thing that you run into with this Creighton team is that you can run stuff through Calc, right? And you can kind of get him the ball in the post and he can be effective. But one, you got to be able to have the point guard play to be able to run your stuff to get him the ball where he needs it to be able to go, right? Like it's like this with any big guy. If you don't have guards that can actually get you into your sets, you can kind of nullify those big guys. Like what Nebraska did, they put a guy in front of him and a guy behind him and basically double teamed him before the ball was entered. And then in some of these other games, like the pressure was just too much without having Ashworth out there, and they weren't able to actually run their stuff to be able to get the ball to him. So that's part of it. Your guards have to be better. But I do think that there's a little bit of a lack of like dynamic shot making on that perimeter. I think one of the things that we saw with Baylor Shireman, that we saw with guys like Mitch Ballack when it comes to McDermott's offense is like they manipulated defense because of their ability to sprint off of a ball screen and the threat that they have, or sprint off of a pin down and the threat that it creates for the defense trying to chase those guys and have to adjust to where players are on the floor defensively. And they don't really have that with this year. Pop Isaacs could be that guy. He's not quite the same shooter. Doesn't have the same size. Like they need Fedor Zugic. They need the kid, the Montenegrin kid, to be able to find a way to get eligible. But at the same time, one of the things that Shireman and Trey Alexander provided was that it's kind of similar to what UConn's going through right now too, where you had two playmakers, one of whom was 6'5", the other whom was 6'4", that nobody was going to body off of getting where they wanted to get to. They could just, like, if you're going to pressure them, they'll just back you down to the 3-point line so you can run your offense from there. Stephen Ashworth is a talented dude. Stephen Ashworth is also probably 6'1", 160 pounds on a good day. It's easier to get him to force him to have to run offense from 40 feet away from the basket than it was for Trey Alexander or Baylor Shireman. And also, at the end of a clock, like you run all your stuff and you're not getting anything, you got two NBA players out there that can go out there and go make a play for you out of nothing. You don't have that this year. It's just it's a different team. It's a different setup, and it's going to take them a little time to kind of figure that part out.
I think, Rob, those are the issues we're having right now among the best teams in college basketball. When you go down the list, when we start evaluating these top teams, and we'll get to a few it's not everyone, but a lot of these teams are missing, like, who's the guy? Can I give the ball in his hands to go make me a play when it matters? And for Creighton, I think it's got to be Pop Isaac, right? I think he's got to develop into a guy. He doesn't have to be the shooter, but he's got to be more engaged and involved, man. He only got up 5 shots today. I know Jemiah Neal had it going, but he just seems to be a little bit more aggressive, right? I mean, he just makes shots. But Pop Isaac has the ability to be a more involved, more of a creator in this offense when things break down, coming off making a play. Let's see if he can continue to develop into that. It takes some time when you transition into something new. I think some of these guys transition. When you get into a team like this, you're just trying to fit in. At some point, just be you and then make the adjustments around, and they'll get to that point. But they ain't doing none of that unless Ryan Colburn is there. Like, if he's not there, then they're not winning a ton without him. He's just what he makes up for. He makes up for so many mistakes. That's your erasure. If he isn't in there, there's no rim protection in the sense. It's just his presence alone, his size, what he brings to that team. I do think the guards, you got to get some consistent production out of his backcourt, some more shot creativity off the bounce for Creighton. But it's like I said, they got to figure that out. There's plenty enough time and there's enough talent on this team to do it.
Mm-hmm.